Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today I want to give you guys a bit of a review on my arena statistics that I have from HearthArena since the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan was released. So it's been a bit over a month and I have played a total of 57 arenas and I have an average wins of just under 8. I think it's about 7.9 right now. But you have to keep in mind in my first week of Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, my average wins was a little bit over 10. So yes, if you want to kick ass in arena, you should probably play when there's a lot of noobs playing, and there are a lot of noobs playing at the start of each expansion, and you can definitely take advantage of that if you are a shark like myself. Overall, though, I don't think I'm performing that much better, or probably not any better at all, actually, compared to other expansions. My lifetime arena average wins is like 7.3, something like that, and I think if I played another 100 arenas right now, it'd probably be around there. Maybe a little bit higher, but not really much higher at all, I'd imagine. The breakdown I have is 605 games, overall win percentage about 75%. Without the coin, so that's if I go first, my chance to win is 78%, so that means I lose about 22% of my games. And if I go second, my chance to win is 70.46%, so I lose about 29.5% of my games. So yeah, it's not too bad. It's obviously bad, but compared to some of the other scenarios, particularly in HearthArena, where it was really catastrophic against some classes, it should be better. It should definitely be better. You should not be getting so wrecked for going second in Hearthstone Arena. I do think they need to address the problem, but yeah, it's at least better than HearthArena. So these are my overall statistics with each of my classes. I have them listed in order of average wins. My best class, by far, is Hunter. 10.6 average. And I have to tell you, a lot of those decks weren't even very good. A lot of those decks, I just completely ignored what people were saying, in some cases what even HearthArena was recommending. I knew if I play a face Hunter deck, I will beat the people at high wins, because people at high wins are playing super greedy, super slow decks, and very few of these actually have heals. So you just crap on them. And with that strategy, even though I had some pretty awful decks, like I think I got 12 wins with a 61-point Hunter deck, I didn't feel like the underdog. Going face seems to be pretty good when you have the Hunter hero power. And, we kind of all expected Hunter to be at the very bottom of Arena, but it seems like Hunter is actually at the very top. Now, you will struggle against some players because there's a lot of, very weird things that happen in the first, 3 or 4 arena games. But once you get out of there, once you get to, 5 wins, 6 wins, you're really going to see only, control mages and some other very, very strong decks. And you usually have favorable matchups against most of them, which is why I think it performs so consistently well. Rogue coming in with 9 average wins, just a really solid class. The hero power makes Rogue be very flexible with 2 drops, because using your hero power on turn 2 is actually great. So you can draft 0 2-drops in your Rogue deck. Now, the issue with drafting 0 2-drops is you're going to need a lot of 4-drops, because, you can hero power on turn 2, but you cannot hero power on turn 4 unless you're already winning, and you might not be winning if you hero powered on turn 2. But other than that, if you just consider that, you have a lot of flexibility drafting Rogue, and as a result, you actually do very well. Shaman coming in third. Not too many runs with Shaman, but obviously pretty strong class. Shaman just has a lot of really high power cards right now, and you tend to do pretty well if you draft a few weapons in the early game. And that's about it. If you get a few weapons, you'll be just fine. If you don't, you'll really struggle. Don't like Shaman too much because of that. Then we have Warlock, just under 9 wins. Played a lot of Warlock because I feel it's the class that changed the most in this expansion. Even though, yes, Priest and a few others got a lot of really cool stuff, Warlock kind of changed its game plan to yes, you have to take control over the board, but in the late game, you can be losing and come back because you have so many board clear effects nowadays. And that gives it a much more dynamic play style, and I think the results show that it's a very good class. Now, the main thing that holds Warlock back is the spread of going first and going second is gigantic. So, when I go second, I win 69%. When I go first, I win 85.5%. That's a big spread. Okay, like that's bigger than the average. I think Warlock and Mage have a pretty big one, but you'll see that my Mage stats are a little bit weird for some reason. I don't know why, but regardless, yeah. Basically, what happens is Warlock, you usually get a good deck. You can usually play it well and outmaneuver your opponents. But if you go second and your opponent has a good curve at the start, you just lose. You start the game at like 10 HP, you can't use your board clears, you can't use your hero power, you just lost because you went second, and that's a lot of your losses. Paladin coming in next. Nothing to brag about, some very skewed statistics because, only 4 runs. Paladin has a lot of the buffer stuff. If you don't get the buffer stuff, it can be difficult. If you do get the buffer stuff, but you go second, it can be difficult because your opponent might get tempo on you. And if your opponent has tempo on you, you don't have the minion quality, you're just kind of screwed. If you go to top deck mode and you have a lot of buffer stuff, you're screwed. So a lot of issues with that. Priest is very polarized. Priest, very much like Mage, I feel, has a great deal of its success from just really, really high card quality. And as a good player, you can't rely on high card quality. You're going to play a lot of Priests at high wins, but the ones that you play are just going to have ridiculous decks. When you play a Priest, you're generally not going to get a deck anywhere near as good as that. So you can't really outplay your opponent very much with Priest as much as you can with like Hunter or Rogue, for instance. Warrior, didn't play too much Warrior, felt overall pretty weak. And then Mage at 5.7 average wins over 10 runs. Now, I don't really know what happened with Mage. I felt like I had a few really good decks, but every time I had a good deck, I just played against better decks. And every time I had a good deck, I played as if I had the best deck, and didn't, and lost the Greed War as a result. So I had some very mixed results with Mage. Again, I would advise if you're a good arena player, probably just stay away from Control Mage. As tempting as it might be, I had like a 76 ranked Control Mage deck in arena, which is like one of my, if not the highest, I think it was tied for the highest tier score deck I ever had in arena. And I lost like 3 better decks. I played a Mage deck that was just clearly better, played against like 2 Priests, and their cards are just clearly better. I just got wrecked. So that's what you can expect. Card quality right now in arena is absolutely insane. So you will lose a lot if you play for the value game. You're really forced into playing the face/tempo game if you really want to cross that like 7 average wins barrier. And I think, I still need to work on my Mage plays, but I have learned that if you're a good arena player, you actually can't play Control Mage anymore because the decks are just so insane out there. Druid, I think I had 1 good run, 1 bad run. Again, not much to say. I have to say, against Druid, I generally feel like I'm in a strong position. Most of the Druid decks I've played just seem overall a bit too slow for the meta, and I might even rank Druid at the very bottom of Arena right now. And speaking of against, I have my last chart here. Against classes, so against Mage, Paladin, Warlock, and all the rest here. I played mostly against Mages and a very high percentage against Paladin, decent amount of Warlocks, Rogues, Priests, Shamans. Oh, look at that. And then at the very bottom, there's only a few classes that have low representation with Druid, Warrior, and Hunter. Hunter, at the very bottom. Seemingly the best arena class. Isn't that interesting? You can see that my win rate against Mage is still extremely one-sided. I win 80% if I go first. I win 60% if I go second. So basically my chance to lose doubles if I lose the coin flip, which is really stupid. And that has to do with the really powerful Mage decks. It says 23% Mages, but you really don't see that many in the early few wins in Arena. But once you get to like 6 wins, it's still a lot of Mages. And those Mages are just insane card quality. So If you go second against an insane control mage, you know, you cannot rush them down. You lose to Flame Strike, you lose to another Flame Strike, you lose to more removals, you just out. So that's why it's so lopsided, but I really hate that. I really hate the difference of going first versus second. Didn't really understand why some people play Paladin. Paladin seems to kind of suck. Well, if you're playing against me, line them up. I don't mind crushing Uther constantly. Warlock actually gave me the most trouble. My win percentage against Warlock is the lowest yet, and it has to do because Warlock gets a lot of free wins when they go first. It's very hard to catch up, and Warlock has a lot of very powerful board clears that are difficult enough to play around that you usually just don't, and get punished a reasonably high amount of the time. Overall, Warlock has, I think, moved the most up. It's increased the most in complexity, and if they fix the going first versus going second thing, I think Warlock might actually really take off. Again, you can see that my chance to win is halved if I go second against Warlock. Again, really stupid. Rogue's pretty good. Priest's pretty good, but again, Priest, you really need very high card quality. Shaman did pretty well against me, but again, Shaman needs pretty high card quality. Druid and Warrior overall seemed fairly weak classes, and actually my highest win rate was against other hunters. I really feel like the lesson to be learned here is people kind of are playing the old arena still. When people have to upfront drop some gold to play arena, they generally don't experiment, and I feel as a result of that, Hunter is still at the bottom of arena, despite I actually think it might be the best class. I know it had the best results, but the reason I have a feeling it's the best class is because I played bad Hunter decks, and I was winning a lot, but more importantly, I didn't feel like I was doing bad. I didn't feel like I was the underdog. I didn't feel like I had a bad deck. You know, I just play a few 1-drops, do a bit of face damage, and then my opponent can't clean up because people are generally playing decks that are too slow. So as a result, I do encourage you guys to experiment. You know, the message that I want to send is not, yeah guys, go play Hunter right now in arena because it's the best thing ever. Yes, you know, it seems to be that for me, but my message is that maybe you should actually try some of these other classes. Even though Druid and Warrior seem pretty weak to me, I didn't actually try them that much, and I probably should. I feel like some of these classes might have some untapped potential, and you can only really realize that by going a little bit outside the boundaries of what's good. And right now, it seems like a pretty good opportunity to do that. While mages are pretty dominant in the high win brackets, and that's largely because of their ridiculously high number of common removal cards, other than that, the game seems pretty balanced in Arena. We have 6 classes that have very high representation, and that's probably more than we've ever seen. So overall, it looks like Arena has some pretty nice little features right now in Gadgetzan, and has definitely moved in a positive direction. Now, there's a lot of like win more cards and stupid shit, and you know, going second versus going first is still a really big problem. There's a lot of fundamental problems in Arena, and you'll obviously hear me complaining about them every now and then. Maybe a bit too much actually, but it's pretty good. This expansion I think was good for Arena, but I don't think any expansion can fundamentally fix these problems without a rework. So Gadgetzan in Arena was a pretty good expansion, but it won't really shine as it did in the old days, I mean the Arena mode as a whole, until they really change how some of the fundamental things work. And we'll have to see if they do that, and hopefully the next expansion will be as good as Gadgetzan in terms of Arena. Hope you guys have enjoyed my review, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.